Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Ferreira. I am the host and owner of Gem and Me. I want to take the time today to introduce myself. Who am I? I'm a young, proud, first-generation Latina, born and raised in Washington Heights. I have excelled in my life with adversity, hope, belief, motivation, and most importantly, the power in me. And I believe everybody has their own power inside themselves. And I want to share this platform with you to be able to explore and dig very deep inside of you to find the blessings, the gifts that you were given to become the best version of yourself. So thank you so much for joining today to the Gem and Me podcast. I hope to give you blessings, aha moments, many gifts really that you have within yourself to be able to unfold and find those within you. Thank you for listening today and welcome to Gem to Me. The power is within you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. It's an honor to have a friend, a partner, right? Or we're part of the same team now. And we met and we immediately connected. And I feel like he brings a lot of asset to the community and his perspective, his experience and knowledge. We have Elowis Burgos here today. Thank you, Elowis, for being here today. It's an honor to have you. If you can briefly tell us, like, who's Elowis?
Thank you, Catherine. It's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Uh, who am I? Well, I am. I like to start with like my ethnicity because it's very interesting. I'm Dominican and French. French from my mother's side, who her father was born and raised in Martinique, and then when he moved to Dominican Republic for business, he met my grandmother, and the rest is history there with that. So, yeah, I like using that about
Yeah,
myself.
you should like embrace it because it's so like,
Oh yeah.
unique.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do not know French, but I went to France, and throughout my life, I picked up a few words to just get by. Like especially when I was in France, I learned the basic things, which I think everyone should learn when they travel to a country that they don't know, which is yes, no, ma'am, sir, thank you, and where's the bathroom?
Oh, and food and text for
No
food if
food.
you're hungry, right? I think that's
Yes. Where's the nearest restaurant or something, right?
yeah, that's very important.
But yeah, I think those are the five things that you should definitely know. Yeah, that last one, bathroom, is the most important.
Definitely, that's
Believe me,
definitely.
you're gonna
Um,
need it.
so based on, I know you told us that you lived in, you went to France and you have that part of the experience, but like prior to what you're doing now, um,
Hmm.
give us a little brief through of like your career or like your education so we can kind of get that background.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I was most of my life I was well, most of my youth, I would say, I lived in the Bronx, yeah, right there in Bailey Avenue. Grew up there until I was 17. Then I moved out here to Jersey. I've been here ever since. I attended community college, Bergen Community College here, got my degree in Associate of Science, and I did some college at another university, but fortunately things happened and I had to discontinue my semester there. But what I was going for was mass media communication at the university, which was a like interesting subject I always liked. Also psychology I liked also, but mass media communication was the main major, and it was interesting. I learned about like the behind the scenes of like how a production team works in film and TV and stuff like that. How to write a script and act. I took acting class and stuff, not just in the university but in the community college as well. So, and now I'm just trying to work, make enough money to support myself and possibly like get back and possibly um, be like a peer mentor or some sort of clinician to help people with mental illness. So I think
Wow,
that's really
that's
good.
perfect. I didn't know that about you. I just actually learned that, and it's good we're here talking
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Gemini really
I
embraces,
think
right?
it's yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's called a peer mediator. I'm working on like looking at what I need to do for the training and all that, and it doesn't require any schooling. But I want to go back to school so one time, one day. Just
Yeah,
don't know when. But
exactly.
yeah, that's
The
what I'm
time will
doing.
come. The time will come, and I feel like we feel so under pressure to do it at a certain time or day, but like just do it at your pace, right? And the time will come. Like no rushing when you feel ready to
Hmm.
do it. I
Yeah.
think that's very important. Well, thank you for sharing that. So like to kind of segue into what your upbringing was, I asked every
Hmm.
guest to talk about how life was, when they were growing up and their childhood. So you can share obviously as much as you can, but I feel like childhood really affects like our adulthood and how we react and kind of project ourselves into the world.
Okay. My upbringing was how would I describe it? That's a good question for me. Uh, it like growing up in a Dominican household, it was very interesting. I
Yes,
love the food
to say the least.
and yeah, right, to say the least. Yeah, definitely. But my parents are very hardworking people to this day. I really appreciate them a lot and love them to death as much as they love me and stuff like that. But growing up, my father worked a lot. My mom took care of me, my siblings, until we were old enough, and then she was in and out of jobs, and stuff like that. And she eventually was the main breadwinner by the time I became a teenager. With my father, uh, how do you say? He was working, but he was self-employed. Yeah, he was self-employed. So yeah, and my parents were very strict, and we in Hispanic culture we believe in spanking, but it's not abuse. I don't want to like make it sound like it's abuse, but it's not. It's not abuse. It's more like like hitting the head or something or stuff like that. I don't want to get into details, but
Yeah,
yeah.
share whatever you like. Feel comfortable to share whatever you feel
Oh, whatever I like. Yeah, they would hit me with sticks, chairs. No, I'm kidding.
comfortable. No,
No,
yeah,
none of that.
it's
But
it's
they were.
it's difficult. I feel like, especially when both of the parents are there, it's probably even worse. Um,
Hmm.
I grew up with my mom. My mom was a single mother, so she would just like spank you with a bell or hit you or smack you in the face or
Yeah, that's or the chancla, right?
that's kind of what happened. But yeah, I could imagine
Yeah.
growing up with also a dad is also like another
Hmm.
source of authority that could smack you and around.
Yeah, it's funny because growing up with both of them, I developed both of their sides, like both of their weaknesses. Like my mom is the high strung, like a loud person, and she gets easily triggered. And my father's a more calm one, where he just like he speaks in a way where he allows the other person to speak and doesn't interrupt. Just very calm, and rarely I saw him get really mad. But when he did get mad, those were the scariest. But yeah, they're two polar opposites when it comes to like dealing with their emotions. Like my father was very preserved and didn't really show it as much. The only two times I saw my father really emotional was when his parents died. Only time. And I don't remember, but he probably was emotional when I was born and my siblings. But yeah,
Yeah,
I would hope.
yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
That's actually great that you mentioned that, and it's kind of
Hmm.
important really because you're talking about their emotions, and I'm sure you grabbed on to some of that stuff that you were exposed to, how
Hmm.
they acted, how they reacted to other situations, or
Oh
how
yeah.
they projected emotions to you, and so you saw how they reacted, and that's how you are now. A little bit of your mom, a little bit of your dad, of course.
Yeah, I get worked up when I'm excited, like my mom, and then normally I'm like talking like no, like I'm not as high strung as my father, and I usually just when I'm talking to someone I'm more calm. But if I get excited or triggered about something, yeah, that's when I get really high and start speaking loudly like my mom did, which was, I think, some of the things I contributed to, like my mental health, which I bring up to her a lot. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's great that you communicate that with her. Um,
Yeah, well, communicate, but sometimes it's in through one ear, out through the other. Sometimes.
well, at least you try, right? At least you try.
Hmm.
Apart
Yeah.
from your upbringing, what has been a pivotal or challenging moment in your life that it changed you to the person who you are now, or like made you stronger?
Um. Uh. I want to say my first relationship, my first romantic relationship. I was very young. I was 20, and the relationship went well. And unfortunately, she just didn't feel in love with me enough to continue the relationship, which I understand, but it still like breaks my heart. So I didn't take that very well, and I went to a deep depression. And when I eventually got out of that, I was able to handle like relationships, other relationships I've been in going forward, much better than I did the first time. So yeah, it just made me realize like what I want in a relationship, and how just basically just be more aware of what I'm doing in a relationship as well. Because you may think you're doing one thing, but it's actually the other, and you might not see it unless you get an outside perspective. So I think that was one of the things. The other was recently, because of COVID, I luckily got the COVID money that everyone received and saved up to move out. And that was the biggest change in my life so far. Just living on my own, and just like it's just I'm with myself most of the time, so I can't really rely on mom and dad. And thankfully, I'm not burning my food as I cook, because I'm learning that. So yeah, I've gotten quite good at cooking, so yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for that. But yeah, it's a big change for me living on my own, especially so late in my life. Like, well, I say late because I like comparing myself. Another thing, another trait given from my mother. She always compared me to others, so I guess I compare myself to others now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. We often are like, oh, you're not as, fulanito or whatever, right?
Yeah, we
And
have this
yeah,
expectation of
no,
each other.
exactly, and expectations that our parents put on
Hmm.
us, and
Yeah.
society too. Society is like, oh, you by this time you should have your shit together, right?
Hmm.
And it's not like that. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own timeline. Like everybody has their own path. Um,
I
and
feel like that'll change though with our generation. I think that's just our parents' generation.
yeah, that's going to
Because
change
because
huge.
with education nowadays, where we can access things a lot faster, we tend to learn quicker and realize, the things that our parents went through was because of a product of their time. And sometimes they forget that things change. So fortunately for our generation, we see that. And I don't think we'll be as I think we'll be more aware of our children's mental health than the previous generation.
Yeah,
Especially in this country, it was bad. I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
no, I feel like that's a blessing. It's a blessing that we're going to able to give to our kids, because we're breaking generational traumas. Like just you telling your mom like the way that you feel or how she affected you in certain ways. And I've done that too with my mom. I feel like that's just a step to open that, like she could heal through that conversation. You can heal through that conversation. And then you'll be a better dad in the future to your kids, because you kind of heal that wound that you had, right, towards your mom. And that's
Yeah.
going to make you a better person, more open. I also wanted to go back to the pivotal moment that you share. And it's so
Hmm.
funny because, relationships early on really make part of who we are and kind of change our perspectives. But I feel like everything happens for a reason, and we grow
Hmm.
out stronger from it. Like certain
Yeah.
things happening, like, oh, like this sucks, right? But then you're like, oh, like, this taught me something. Like I'm stronger, and I know not so much, to be. Sometimes we rely on a relationship, or we identify in a relationship because we don't know any better, or because we really love that person, or for many reasons, right?
Hmm.
Childhood traumas. We are dependent on other
Yeah.
people. And so it's it's important to identify those things right early on, because then you'll kind of repeat the same mistake, right, in other relationships. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that you were
definitely.
able to identify that early on. I'm proud of you. I really am proud
No,
of
thank
you.
you.
Some people are, adults, grandparents over here making bad decisions. And you're like,
Yeah,
oh, by this time I think you should have it. Yeah, but no, like everybody has their own journey. Everybody's like growing. It's so crazy because growing up, you expect adults to have their shit together, like mentally, emotionally, etc., relationship wise. But unfortunately, it's not like that.
yeah,
Um, yeah, everybody's going through their own thing and growing and learning.
yeah.
What's three beliefs or values that you live by? Like, could be a phrase or like a mantra or something that you really like repeat to yourself or that you value in your life.
Hmm. Uh, One of them is I'm gonna give you some basic ones that you probably, do your own, like do yourself. But one thing that sticks with me the most is respect is earned, not given, no matter who it's from, family or friend. Especially with family, because we speak about trauma and difficulties growing up with our parents. And I don't mean to say that I have no respect for my parents. It's just that, you know, with them, I don't know if it's with, our Hispanic community, they say that, you have to respect them no matter what they say, you can't question, and what they say is law. Like, okay, so this is punishment? I don't get it. Like, am
Right.
I in jail? You're treating me like a prisoner. Like, I can't speak my mind or give any type of opinions when I'm confused about something with you, then, But yeah, that's one thing. Respect is earned, not given. And that's with anyone. I've come across a lot of people, a lot of walks of life that are very entitled and think that they could just disrespect someone, or they could just say something and it won't affect them in any way. And I don't like doing that. Any person I come across, I show the utmost respect, and because that's what I want, which leads to my other one is a quote from a famous philosopher, I think Confucius, like, don't do to others what you don't want others to do to you.
Mm.
So yeah, basically like that. If you don't want someone to curse you out or just be rude, then don't do that to them. And I know you can't control anybody and stuff happens, but you know, um, that's obviously a time where you have to defend yourself, but that's obviously a person that you don't have to respect because they're not giving you respect, and yeah. Another one is a friend of mine said this one time. I forgot what it was. I'll probably get back to it later. Like, I think is
Those that you shared, while you remember, those that you
mhm,
share are very important. And I feel like the first one, to kind of piggyback and chime on what you said, our parents are always, trying to control us, manipulate us into being in this prison setting. And it's funny because I actually recorded something um, about trauma, right? Like healing trauma.
mhm,
And some of the traumas that we have as adults, like for example, not being able to make decisions for ourselves. Like it's hard for us to make decisions
mhm.
because our parents never let us make decisions. Like they made a decision
Yeah,
for us, right? So that's a trauma on its own. And obviously it's very simple, very small, right? But it impacts people's lives. When they grow up, they have no ability to make decisions because of it.
yeah, yeah. I totally understand. I feel like that goes into like the whole, like, I don't know why it makes me think of this, but the whole machismo thing. Well,
Yeah.
people have their roles and stuff,
Yeah.
and I did speak about this with my parents a while ago, but it's like they understood that the gender roles, they don't have to be the way they are, but they end up doing that anyway unintentionally.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the men, they do the housework and stuff. Oh well, they do like the heavy lifting, and the women only cook and clean. And I did cleaning. Like my mom, I that's one of the things she taught all three of us, me and my siblings, to clean. But the cooking, she just never bothered teaching me and my brother, and my sister just picked up what my mom did. So yeah. And my father, he was just basically like he didn't like us complaining too much. That's another thing with mental illness. Like in the Hispanic community, the men are very like don't want to show emotion for some reason, and they think of it as weakness. So
That's huge. Wow. There's a lot of opportunity to speak there. And I feel like it's so important that we're having this conversation because I'm honored
hmm
to have you on here. I haven't had a lot of female speakers or guest speakers,
hmm
unfortunately, but you are one of the first ones. So thank you for breaking the ice and
first
really,
female speaker. I like it.
and
Yeah.
I really appreciate that because I feel like, like you said, right? Males are known to like be strong, don't show emotion,
hmm
and they're expected to just like be like very
They work a
composed.
lot. They're workaholics.
And that's
Stuff
not
like that.
how it's supposed to be. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
that's healthy, or everybody has, are entitled to show emotion, to have breakdowns, to cry, to go through things.
hmm
Like, I feel like we're all human. We should be able to do that. And to kind of go back to what you said about your mom and your dad, that they say like, oh no, we're fine, right? Like, we don't have genders roles or anything. It's very hard to unlearn a habit, right?
hmm
Unlearn those traumas, and if they don't heal or like do like different things and change their mindset, they're not gonna change the way they are. Like, that's it. It's like my grandma, like me trying to change my grandma's mindset. It's nearly impossible if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
We've been living like that forever. So yeah, it's those certain things that we like, God, do what you gotta do because I can't, and it's just communicating. I think communicating could, you know, kind of help a little in that
Yeah.
communication and that relationship with them. Um, so there's a lot of stigma, right, around mental health and challenges that we come up with, like we just said, right, and especially with males talking about it, right? So I wanted
Yeah.
you to share your thoughts about like what mental wellness is for you and what you think about it when it comes to our culture, like kind of talk about
hmm
your experience. I know we've been touching a little bit about like your parents, etc., but as a culture whole, how can we destigmatize mental health in our communities?
Well, I guess I would start by saying that, like, the stigma is that, like, I guess, like, oh, you're weak, you just stop complaining, just deal with it. You can't show emotions. You're a man, grow up, stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, I suffer from some mental illness, depression, anxiety. I've had for like a while now. And, growing up with my parents, especially my father, he just didn't want to believe that, that was a problem. He just thought, like, just get over it, basically. And my mother just completely did not understand what was going on. She knows, but doesn't understand. So especially, and just like my father, too. So it was very hard. And the stigma that I think mental illness has is that, like, oh, you're crazy, or you like popping pills every time, and like you can't do this or that or the other. But yeah, no one, thankfully, outside of my parents, have judged me that way. Uh, but yeah, it has been like within the Hispanic community has been a bit of a problem because I feel like the more you don't express yourself, it's gonna manifest into something really toxic. So, and that's gonna create a cycle of things throughout every generation. My father's not toxic, but he just doesn't really, I guess he sees it as like that's not really gonna help me moving forward because of what he needs to do right now.
Mhm.
Don't dwell on the past too much. And I guess he manifested that to a point where like he can move on quickly.
Mhm.
Like when his parents died, his father first, then his mother, he literally just, he was very upset, cried, and then the next day it was like nothing happened. With me, if my parents were to die, I would have to take 6 months off, like something like that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it would just be that terrible or something. Like, yeah. So I'm very different from my father. I came out more emotional than my mother, and some of that has to do with like her being a helicopter parent because I was actually born with heart murmur, so she was very overprotective. I
Mhm.
got a lot of affection very young, so I guess that factors into the how emotional I am. And with mental illness, I've come across some other guys who have it, and it is like different degrees. It's not always the same too. Not everyone with mental illness thinks the same. I have a different mentality about it than any other person. Same thing with women.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's also a thing where like a man is weak because he goes to therapy, and
Mm.
my parents specifically, they don't really trust therapy. They think they're just gonna tell you to do something that you're not supposed to do, and that's another stigma. Like therapists are gonna tell you, basically, they're gonna say something like there's something wrong with you when there isn't. That's what they think it is.
Mm.
And it's not like that. I've been to therapy, and it's just about trying to understand you. That's all. That's all. Like basically what we're doing right now. Like they ask me about myself, and then they analyze, okay, let's go back to this now. Like what happened there? And like, and if I don't understand, you just ask them. It's never they're not judgmental, basically.
Mhm.
So, but I hope that changes, like in our generation, having children, because mental illness is a serious thing and it affects people's lives. So, especially with males in the Hispanic community. Dominicans, I've seen, like especially the men in my family, they're not toxic, but they just very like they don't want to be emotional like that. They just think like, God, just forget about it. It's over. Like
Mhm.
just don't worry about girls. Don't worry about like failing at this test or anything like that. Just move on. Forget it. Why are you thinking about this now? It already passed. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it got to a point where my father doesn't even like going to the doctor. Like, why would I go? ¿Pa qué? ¿Pa que me digan que tengo algo malo? And I'm like, and I'm like telling him, bueno, ¿pa qué tú vas entonces? Like, ¿para eso que tú vas? ¿Para que te encuentren algo? Like,
Yeah.
if you feel some type of way, if you have a problem, you go to the doctor. Like, that's what they do. The worst they can do is like do surgery on you. Like, they'll probably just give you a prescription or something. And that's another thing. They think prescriptions is gonna like, prescription drug is gonna make you like have some sort of defect on you when it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You touch on a lot of things there, and I feel like it really affects, our generation because we're like the generation that is trying to heal and like all
Hmm.
those, beliefs, traumas, expectations, you name it. We all trying
Hmm.
to break that. Like we're trying to break the cycle and it's hard on us, but it's necessary. It's very necessary because if we don't, then the cycle continues, unfortunately, right? And so that's huge
Yeah.
that I'm glad that you're, in therapy. I'm in therapy as well. And I feel like it's very helpful. And I'm gonna tell you a brief story, but I told my
Hmm.
dad, he's like, "Oh, what were you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I was in an appointment, I was in therapy." He's like, ¿Qué tú tienes? Like immediately, like I was like dying or something, right? And I
Hmm.
was like, tengo terapia ahora. He's like, "Oh, ¿qué tú tienes?" I was like, life. And para poder llevar la vida, like it's normal, right? Preventive, to cope with everything that was happening. And it's funny because he was actually one of the reasons why I was going to therapy. So yeah, so it's ironic, but
¿Para
um
qué tú vas? Por ti.
you stress me out.
Yeah.
No, but it's so funny, but it's so true. Like, I feel like we have to talk more about it, kind of normalize it more, bring it up, and help like, those younger generation, like your siblings, right? Try
Hmm.
to encourage them. Like I got my little sister to go to therapy too, so she could cope with her upbringing and everything else, So I feel like encouraging the younger generations and kind of creating that awareness also as a culture, I think is very crucial. It's going to be a fight because
Hmm.
Dominicans, they have all sorts of um, ties and beliefs and
Yeah.
ways of
And I kind of get that too. I'm sorry, you were gonna finish.
no, go ahead. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. And I can understand now, especially with the American culture, that you know I want to say 100 years ago, let's just say,
Mhm.
you know, the reason why, things ended the way they are, because it was a fight for survival. Certain
Mhm.
opportunities not given to women, especially.
Yeah.
So they had to kind of like force themselves into marriage to a man who ultimately wasn't really wanting to get married. And cut to today, 2022, we don't have those problems anymore. Women have a lot of opportunities, and we don't necessarily need to get married. It's not a requirement. Women can make money now. They can do whatever they want, and it's like I like that. Like I don't have to like well, not me, but like they don't have to like worry as much as they used to. But
Yeah.
you know some parents like to pressure their kids because they got pressured so young. uh I don't mean to stigmatize like Hispanics, but like I've come across people who tell me like their mother told her that she needs to start like looking for a man, having babies and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And the poor girl was only like 15.
Wow.
So like what the hell. And this was like only 10 years ago that my friend told me the story of her cousin, I think it was. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so sad. I mean, I feel like things have changed. Unfortunately, there is like in our culture and people who live back home, there's still people that think that way, right? Like their sense of survival or way to be good, unfortunately, is to
Hmm.
find a man to like provide for them. But we have broken that curse. There's some people still with that mindset, but I feel like as a whole, we have made a lot of impact and changes in that. Um, what would you say is something the most powerful thing about you of
The
on your person?
most powerful thing about me, I think, is my ability to make people smile. Like I'm very humorous. I
Yeah,
starting to
definitely hilarious.
acknowledge that. Yeah, I'm starting to acknowledge that more, because I used to have this expectation of myself, and I would ignore the strength that I always had. So that's one thing. And I'm very energetic. At 32 years old, I'm surprised I'm able to do physically the things that I do. And like that's not old, but like,
Yeah,
I just didn't think I have that energy at 32, just like I did at 22. So I'm glad that I'm still like, able to do a lot of stuff, physically active. I helped my sister move yesterday, and I look back at him like, wow, I didn't stop at all to take a break until it was all over. So that's
oh
pretty cool.
wow.
But yeah, definitely my sense of humor, my kindness and passion to other people, the way I speak to them. It's like I'm really devoted in their lives basically when they talk to me. You know, it's like I'm the therapist. I'm trying to understand you, and I understand you completely, so I don't misinterpret, say something wrong or anything like that, you know. So it's yeah, I'm very understanding too. Like especially with the gender pronouns nowadays, it's not a problem for me. I have no it's not, I don't like it or anything. It's just that's you. Like I respect that. Like why would I judge you? That's your life. uh, as long as you're not being like a bad person, yeah. But like whatever pronouns or sexuality you have, I support it completely, 100%. Because I can't really judge. That's your life. But yeah, kindness, passion. I'm very humorous, energetic. you know
We
um
have a lot of
just
power.
have a way. Yeah.
A lot of superpowers. That's great. I feel like, we don't really sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit of those things that we have inside us that are providing to society, providing to our loved ones and ourselves first, right? So I'm very glad that you are knowledgeable about the superpowers you have and the gems you have inside of you. Those are very great.
Mm,
If you could
yeah,
go
you
back
said
to
one. I'm sorry.
what was that?
You said one superpower. I gave
No,
you like
that's
a
great.
couple.
You have more than one, so that's that's amazing. If you can go back to your younger self, what's one piece of advice you would tell him
One piece of advice. Uh,
or
man,
anything? You could if you could go back
no,
and just talk to him.
just continue trying things. Like if you fail at it, just continue doing it until you get it right. Because even today, I still mess up. It happens, but like I'm starting to you know, uh, just continue practicing on things that I want to learn, and don't be afraid of failure.
Mhm.
That's a big thing. And And another thing, which my friends and family continue to tell me, because I felt like this for a while, is to not um, don't worry about what other people think or say about you.
Hmm.
That's the one thing I would tell my younger self. Be practice makes perfect. Just continue what you're doing. You'll be great at it, and don't worry about what other people think. They don't live your life. They don't pay your bills. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if I could go back and ask, well, not ask, tell my younger self, I would say like to love herself and to be strong, and that life is a journey, not a destination.
Hmm.
I feel like we often are like, oh, once I get this, I'll be happy. Once I get that, I'll be happy. Once I get done
Yeah,
this, I'll be happy, and kind
it's
of
a running marathon.
embracing, right? Embracing the journey, embracing life. Yeah, and loving myself. I think
Hmm.
that's and I feel like love is a whole nother episode because
Yeah,
that's a whole nother trauma, if you will, that Dominicans don't express.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
unfortunately.
usually, yeah, I've heard some pretty bad stories, like with some relationships and with some like Hispanic friends that I have, and it's like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
and the stereotype that Dominicans alone have when it comes to like relationships is just ridiculous. So
exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
sure you've heard of some of them, but yeah, life is a journey. It's a running marathon, someone told me.
yeah, it is. All right, so thank you so much again for being here. Is there any final remarks or advice you would like to share to males out there trying to break generational trauma, trying to heal, trying to go and start their mental wellness journey?
For people that want to start their mental health journey and help themselves, just I don't want to say do it on your own, but look for the right people that can help you.
Hmm.
Another thing I wholeheartedly believe in is stick to people who care about you. Forget the ones who don't. If you have friends who care about you, they tell them what's going on, how they can help you in some way, and just do research on how you can better yourself with mental illness and go to therapy. I know for me, it's been very difficult, and I think for anyone else to find the right therapist. So it's like looking for a job. You get interviewed, and then if you're the right fit, you're like, yeah, you're in. But yeah, it just don't feel afraid to get different therapists. Some may not vibe with you, and some will do. And don't stick to one therapist for too long if you're not doing you're not doing well with them. So yeah, that's what I would say.
All
Stick
right.
to people you care about.
Thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure having you, and I hope to have you here on soon. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I am so grateful that you're here listening to my podcast, Gem and Me. I hope that you continue to share, continue to listen on very important topics that I discuss in my growth and journey to what is called life. I hope that you're able to learn and explore different values and things that you have within you. I really hope to serve as a support system and a community to those who need the inspiration in that community, because I know that I needed this, I still do, but like growing up, I felt like I needed something where I can, see the examples and have a support system. So I hope to serve as such. Thank you for listening and have a great one.